from heaven. John tells us that all of that discourse took place in the Capernaum synagogue. This is the discourse, of course. After which it says, many disciples said, "This is a hard saying. Who can accept it?" And that's in regard to his having descended from above. If the Son of Man, descends from above, and so they said, "We know his mother and father. They're from Nazareth." So, what does he mean? "I have come down from heaven." This is a hard saying, and that took place here. And it says, "Many disciples ceased to follow him." And then he turned to the 12, and he said, "What about you? Are you also going to turn away from me?" And this is where Peter steps forward. First time we really see him taking that role of leadership and spokesman for the disciples. And he says, "Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of life." And there's many other stories we could set right here in Capernaum. There's the healing of the woman who has the emission of blood. She comes up behind him and takes hold of the tzitzit. That's down on the docks of Capernaum, right as he got off the boat. She was there waiting for him with several others. Steve already mentioned the centurion's servant, but there's also the story of the son of the Arca synagogue here, the head of the synagogue. The head of the synagogue in Capernaum looks to the master for healing of his son. So Yeshua was actually well received here in Capernaum, despite the denouncement he makes against the place. And we know that he was well received even after, even in the next century, because we have Peter's house. There's archaeological evidence that it was used by local believers, Jewish believers, as a sanctuary. And of course, this ornate synagogue here, preserving the original synagogue of the Master. That's the entire point of this 4th century synagogue. This is not a showpiece synagogue. This is a real synagogue. I mean, this is a full-on real synagogue that was in use in the 4th century, maybe the 5th century. Who is building a synagogue in the 5th century, preserving the lines of this 1st century synagogue? It's not the church. The church is in the there's even statements about how the church found it very difficult to get a church into Capernaum because it was so Jewish. It was held by the Jewish believers controlled Capernaum. And so this is a synagogue. This is a Messianic Jewish synagogue, is my point. And you'll even see that there's a side hall for Kiddush Rabbah, the oneg, that is obligatory at every Messianic synagogue.
Roy?
Question? Earlier today, Steve, you talked about when we're in the house up on the hill there, Jesus doing many of his miracles in this area. I just said now that he spent a lot of time here and so forth. Now in Matthew's Gospel twice we get this statement of Yeshua that he came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So is there anything special about this area which would make these the lost sheep any more than anybody else?
No, I don't believe so. Unless the Galilee is a bit more of a pioneering place, I mean that's a possibility. Judea is known for this is where the religious would congregate close to the temple, but we do think in terms of Nazareth and Kokhov as being places built in the Galilee by Davidians who are trying to branch out. I'm going to also speak here about if we went back into Hasmonean history, we would see that after the Hasmoneans have gained independence, we have settlements in the Golan, we have settlements in Gilead, we have settlements here. So there's an attempt by the Jews to reestablish claim of greater land, and then when there's going to be the local, Greek cities, as well as local populations, at one point attacked the Jews, and so